Sobriety is a funny thing. It's easy to see how in moments of struggle, how quickly people turn to their vices in order to alleviate some of that suffering, if only temporarily. It's been about 3 months since my father passed away, and some people, I think, if they're going through something, if they're going through a similar tragedy, if they're dealing with something of a similar severity, it's easy to see how anyone would really turn towards drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex, a combination of all of those things. Obviously I perfectly understand people's impetus for doing so. But I've discovered, for me personally, that this struggle and then dealing with this has actually bolstered and reinforced my own sobriety, and it's given me the ability and the perspective to act in a way that's more true to myself and my own convictions. Life is a lot like a boxing match, and so long as you're getting up for that 10 count, standing up with your head held high, you've always got a chance of getting through it. And if this journey has taught me anything, it's that. It's kind of funny because, I've never really suffered any major tragedies in my life or anything. Like, the worst things that ever had happened to me were just a couple of heartbreaks. Like, no big deal in the grand scheme of things, because I learned that those experiences are also so great at teaching us about ourselves and how we deal with adversity. Like, for instance, I had a extremely serious breakup. I want to say probably start of 2022. I even made a couple of videos about it, pretty soon after it happened, but I delisted them because I was in a bad spot then. But anyways, they teach you so much about yourself and how you deal with problems, and it's so easy to look back on how you deal with those problems and go, oh wow, I could have done that so much better. And you never learn from the things that you're already good at. You know what I mean? If you're already an expert person, if you're already an expert at relationships or at anything, you don't really learn in the same way that you do with failure and having lost something. And it's easy to forget that, and I think we as a species collectively forget that all the time, that it's so refreshing to fail and or to lose something, because then it gives you the opportunity to learn things about yourself that you wouldn't have learned otherwise. And having that perspective on things, it helps a lot. Like, I would say the first 2 months of this loss, I was going really well, and then the last couple of weeks I've just been struggling. Like, I've been going to work and I just haven't wanted to be there. I wanted to be at home, with my family, talking to you guys, doing what I do. And so I took time off work. I talked to my boss last night, got some time off, and just gonna focus on me for a bit. I've been hitting the gym pretty hard. I've probably been over pushing myself simply because I need that positive outlet. Like, I've got my art and stuff as well, but spending like that hour in the gym, it really helps to narrow your vision to such a degree that that's all you can really focus on. Like, I just put on my music, or sometimes I'll listen to a podcast, but I think you get a better effect when you're working out when you're listening to music than you do with a podcast. The whole thing about podcasts is that when you're listening to it, it's too engrossing, whereas with music you can sort of use it to pump you up a little bit. But yeah, I've just been focusing on that. And I've been doing a lot of writing. I've been doing a lot of writing about sobriety. I've been doing a lot of journaling about sobriety, veganism, the things that are important to me. And like I touched upon in the beginning of this video, it's taken like a loss this severe to really emphasize to me how important that sobriety is. And we live in a country where sobriety is not prized. And there are some movements in the sober space, so to speak, that are sort of propagating that thought and that mindset. And it's definitely becoming something that's less criticized, and you won't be as ostracized for going sober, more so now than ever, at least in Australia. I can only really speak from my experience living in Australia. But I don't think it'll ever truly catch on here, just simply because of how entrenched alcohol is into the culture. But so long as people like me and you are talking about sobriety, about the benefits of sobriety, and just going, hey, look, you're not any less of a man for not drinking, You can be a man and say no to drugs, living drug-free, living sober, adhering to the straight edge. It's a beautiful thing, and I really value it. It just turned summer here in Australia, and this last week has been incredibly warm, humid. It's probably been the most humid week I can remember in the last decade or so. And if you had to ask me like 5 years ago what I would have thought of all this heat and all this humidity, I would have gone, this is the worst thing. I would have complained about it. But nowadays, I embrace the hot weather, I embrace the heat, because getting out in that sunshine with a clear head, especially in the morning, just feeling the sun's rays on your skin, on your face, it's one of life's simple pleasures. Especially, I'm fortunate enough that I live on the water, so I can go and have a swim. I can go out, look out at the ocean, and just feel at peace. And that makes me think of my dad, because he loved it down here. He used to call it God's country. So every time I think about this place, I think of him calling it God's country. And yeah, just the warm weather, it does you good. So I'm going to take these next few weeks away from work to really just double down on my sobriety, double down on my artistic endeavors, double down on talking to you and sharing content. Makes it seem a little impersonal to say content, like you're a content creator. No, I make videos for my mates on the internet. That's what I like to call it. I don't think of you guys as like faceless, anonymous individuals watching my videos. I think of you as all like my mates from around the world, and that makes me happy. Anyways, this has just been a little bit of an update on my life, my sobriety. Let me know your sobriety stories. I love hearing from you guys, my mates of YouTube. And until the next one, I'll catch you guys around.